Hello, day 10 of our reflective tarot read, and if you count in the Omer, it's 1 week and 3 days of the Omer, which is Tiferet of Gevurah. So it's Tiferet's the 6th, Tiferet of Gevurah's the 5th. So this week we have been all week on Gevurah, so you know the energies of Gevurah. It's kind of like a Saturnian energy, limitation, discipline, boundaries, judgment, or that kind of like Saturnian energy with a bit of Mars thrown in. Tiferet is more like Venus, so it's beauty, harmony, love. It is actually about the heart, but it's about a dynamic kind of equilibrium as well. So we'll have a look at these cards. I'll pull them up so you can see. We have the 6 of Cups and the 5 of Cups. So we said in a few of the others, you know, this guy, if it's about emotion, could be in a sense of loss, sense of mourning. He also could be a judge in terms of his black clothes. He could be in judgment either of himself, or he could be in judgment of his circumstances or other people, or of life in general. The 6 of Cups is kind of a beautiful card. It's a childlike energy. It's a giving and receiving. It's all those beautiful qualities of the heart, but a kind of openness like a child. So a sense of awe and wonder of life. So they're they look very starkly different. But when we pair the two together, in my reflections, I was thinking, well, this is a beautiful energy, the 6, but we can actually end up with a childlike view of life, especially on our spiritual paths. We can kind of, you know, when we first get, I don't like the word awakening, but when we first become aware of the spiritual, we can get, you know, blown away like a child. It's like a complete new landscape for us, and it doesn't matter kind of what path you're taking, but it's that sense of this is all new. So you feel kind of childlike in your awe of, wow, so much to learn. It's a whole new life. It's a whole new way of living. So it's almost like a restart spiritually. We're children, you know, we're having the milk of the spiritual practice or tradition that we're in. But we are meant to kind of grow up in that. I mean, one of my reflections was about the sense of when we are in our spiritual work, what can happen, that initial kind of overwhelmed sense of love and belonging and oneness that we may feel on our spiritual path. We don't want to lose that. We don't want to kind of move away from that, and understandably none of us do. But what we can do and what can start happening, because Tiferet is about balance, so it's like the Tiferet is like, it's often called the Tiferet of the Messiah. So the bleeding heart of Jesus is a kind of picture of this Tiferet. It's that sense of being able to hold love and pain in one place. It's the heart. So it's not all about love, joy, excitement. It's actually this ability to hold the polarity of suffering and love, joy and pain, all in one place. It's that kind of delicate balance. So this guy has lost the balance. So he's had the kind of he's had the, I don't know what experience. It could be so many experiences: loss, conflict, you know, so many things. He's got his cups on the floor, but he hasn't held the balance on this side. He's lost that balance of holding that pain and knowing that there's love. On this side, the danger is kind of almost like a vanity. Okay, you know, with Venus can be beautiful and, you know, wonderful and loving, but the shadow side with Venus and with this, you know, when we're working with the heart chakra, can be a vanity and avoidance of the issues that rise, because, you know, if we're feeling this love and this all, we don't want to lose it. And it's not a case of losing it, it's a case of being able to hold both at the same time. Yeah, so it's, we've also got to look at, you know, are we looking at life through those childlike rose-coloured spectacles? So another thing that I've seen in various spiritual traditions and in spirituality is this kind of, yeah, they're rose-coloured spectacles. So hardcore, say, law of attraction will say to someone who's suffering, like this guy, you know, and it could be suffering, loss of someone, suffering ill health, any kind of suffering, might say, you know, you're not thinking positively, you're attracting that bad to you, you're pulling it to you. It's kind of like a childlike, not a developed understanding of that. So we have to be really, really careful of that. I remember, I'll just tell you a quick little story. I remember this guy that I saw, and he came to talk. It was within a spiritual community. He came to talk. Now this guy was in a wheelchair. I can't remember what disease he had, but he was absolutely crippled up. He couldn't do anything for himself. Because the movement in his hands, he was like solid like this. He couldn't help himself in any way physically, so he was cared for, and he was in constant pain. Now he told a story that because of his illness and because he was in spiritual circles, you know, he had a lot of good-hearted people who wanted to bring him healing. But what eventually ended up happening was those people, in their frustration, because, you know, he wasn't healed of this disease, not even in the slightest bit, they became kind of angry with him and blamed him for his illness. Yeah, but this guy, what he brought with him in his message was a message of joy. So here he was with all this pain, bringing a message of joy. So he was embodying a message in that illness. So what I'm saying, this childlike view might not see the beauty of that polarity in someone, and actually kind of put the responsibility on them as not having enough faith, or being negative thinking, or drawing and attracting illness and suffering to them, when in actual fact we need to see beyond that and see if that person is embodying a message. They may not have healing for whatever area of life it is, because their path is to embody that message of holding, which is actually the message of the heart. It is holding joy and pain, it's holding suffering, it's holding love, it's holding all the polarities. And when we go on the path to the heart, it is about losing those spectacles, growing up spiritually, not having whatever concepts we have and projecting them on someone, because then you've come out of that kind of hesed, the overflowing love. You come out of that loving space. You're actually judging without seeing. So that was a kind of reflection that I had on those two cards, and I think we can all be guilty of it. We can have our spiritual concepts or our traditions and kind of, you know, enforce them on other people, and other people are not wanting to hear them, or they're not wanting part of them. It's like, is it loving? Is what you're trying to say to someone loving? Is it loving to say to someone who's suffering, you know, you just need to change the way you think, and if you received it, you would get this healing. Yeah. So they're kind of reflections that we all need to do. You know, we can become this judge. We can really, really become this judge. We need to drop those concepts. We need to kind of look at the big picture. You know, like the Russian doll scenario I was talking about. It's not as simple. And I don't know why that guy had to suffer like that with that pain. But all I do know is he brought healing to so many people on so many levels, because his joy in that pain was profound. It was a profound message, yeah. So we can become the judge, you know. We can become completely judgmental, and then what we need to do is, you know, well, what will happen is that sword will come and cut away those concepts. It will cut through. That brings a balancing mechanism to our personalities. So if we're out of sync in either of them, if we're being very judgmental, you know, the black cloak of the judge, and we're judging people's circumstances without, like, childlike, then that sword will come. Because the bottom line is, whatever the experience is, it is through the circumstances and the experiences. You know, this high priestess, she is, you know, the deep unconscious. She is an energy that will strip you down, that will show you your demons and your angels, and we've both got them. We've both got them. Well, yeah, we've both got them, but we've all got them. We've all got that polarity within us, and it's kind of this, look at it, because actually in that polarity, in that, you know, the angel and the demon side, we're supposed to see that in us. We're supposed to see our egotistical side. We're supposed to see where we're judging, where we got a concept and it's unloving. We're supposed to, and we're supposed to hold those two sides in Tiferet. You know, that is the discipline. It is bringing all the elements together. Our feelings, emotions, our thoughts, our actions. It's all the elements, you know, earth, water, fire and air, bringing them all together into that one place and having a balance in it. You know, justice, having the scales, having it all balanced, that's the path. And as I say, yeah, the high priestess will strip us back. That's the whole thing, we'll be stripped back. But it's actually in those really difficult places, I mean, like the hermit who finds spiritual union in the material. So whatever circumstances you're going through, you know, if you're suffering because of childhood stuff, you're 5 and 6, or you're suffering loss, or you're suffering trauma or ill health, you know, that is the place where you meet the hermit. You know, the path of the hermit is actually from Tiferet up that path to Hesed, and it's actually that reference to Jesus. I don't mean that in a religious sense. He was crucified. He was the suffering Messiah. You know, he held love and pain. So the path of the hermit is in your circumstances, in your dark places, whether that's looking at your judgmentalism, your ego, or it's, you know, complete suffering because of your, you know, your upbringing, because of something you've suffered through life, or ill health. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's actually in those dark places, on those paths, that we can meet divinity. That guy who was talking, who I think just embodied that message of Tiferet. He embodied it. He had pain and joy and brought healing. You know, they are the actual places. If we go about with this kind of childlike feeling that everything is just love and light, and we ignore the, you know, what the high priestess brings out, our demon and our angel, and we ignore them, we won't see the full picture. Our spark won't be raised. We won't be able to meet with source, you know, see the whole picture. We're meant to transcend that. We're not meant to get rid of the dark and the light. We're meant to transcend, see the union of it all, see the true reality of it all. Yeah, so they were my reflections. Again, you know, play with the words, play with the concepts of the card, and you'll kind of see up. Now, I didn't pull I normally pull oracle cards, so I'm just gonna pull one now, see what spirit wants to bring us. Okay. Yeah, it's just interesting. It's this balance of love. We can't be childlike, we can't be judgmental. Well, we can, but we need to see it. We need to know that about ourselves. We can have grace to move beyond those things. You know, what triggers you? What in the material triggers you? What really, like, gets you going? Go down in that. Have a look at your triggers. Have a look at what really, you know, sets you off, because it's there. That source is trying to get to help you transcend, to raise your spark. Okay. That says, stop and take in the view. Take stock of the treasures you've earned. I'm going to have a look at the book because it's an oracle card. This is one I'm not familiar with. I don't think I've ever pulled that one. So I've got a little book here, the oracle card book. I don't want to kind of get the... Let's have a look. Oh, it says, whatever we are waiting for, it will surely come to us, but only when we're ready to receive it with an open and grateful heart. Yeah, so that kind of openness of a child. And you know, it is actually, Tiferet is about gratitude, appreciation. So taking the view, and this is this cosmic view, this huge view. You know, we've got what looks like the angelics at the top. Taking the whole view, that's that Russian doll analogy I was talking about yesterday. You know, it says you might notice you get stuck in strive drive mode and forget to pause from time to time, look away, look around and take an inventory of the blessings and treasures you've learned and earned along the way. Yeah, so this is, you know, if you're stuck in this emotional low, you can stop and have gratitude for what that loss has taught you. Loss will always teach you. Yeah, so that's a nice stop and take in the view. And again, as I was saying, don't, you know, I don't think we ever come to an ultimate truth. So let your truths be flexible in the sense of, you know, concepts, beliefs. Let them melt away when they need to. Let them be expanded. I know my view was so expanded by that guy in pain, bringing that utter message of joy. I'll also pull a chakra card. Tiferet's obviously the heart, and Gevurah is the throat chakra, so expression of the heart, I guess we could say in short. Okay. Oh, forgiveness. Heart chakra, forgiveness. You know, this. Forgiveness. We get stuck. Forgiveness is so hard. It is such, I mean, you could have that view of forgiveness and go, oh, I've forgiven them and move on. But forgiveness is such a deep process. It's a long process, especially when you've had, you know, terrific pain. You've been deeply hurt. Forgiveness is a process. It's not a one-off act. It is that learning to hold the pain and the joy, you know, the suffering and the love, to hold it all in one space. It's a life. Forgiveness, I believe, is a lifelong journey, because we think we've forgiven and then something else will come up and there's a deeper level, you know. So forgive yourself too, you know, and that can be a difficult one when you've been judgmental, when you've hurt someone, when, you know, this guy could be standing there in that pain because he's caused mayhem. Well, we all do at some point. If we're expressing ourselves, and Gevurah is about the throat chakra as well, if we're expressing ourselves, we'll hurt people. It's a matter of life. We hurt people, we get hurt. Forgiving ourselves and forgiving others is a long process. So those are the chakra cards, and I'll just give us a quick additional message. Oh, I'll take that then. It just flew out there. Okay, so yeah, it's learning that balance of, you know, see the beauty in things, but acknowledge the pain, acknowledge your suffering, and acknowledge the devil in you as well as the angel. Because if you say you're beyond that, then you should have ascended, really. Because we all have it. You know, you can be going along feeling very loving, and then someone will kind of be really unkind or say something unkind, and you find out exactly how loving you are by your first responses. What goes through your mind, you know. Yeah, so it's having that lovely balance, that kind of acknowledgement, and knowing that, you know, knowing that we get grace for those moments. That's the actual dynamic equilibrium of it. That is where we meet the divine. The divine is what this lady knows. This feminine energy lady. Feminine energy knows. She knows that the divine is through the black and the white pillar, the polarity. Yeah, so 9 of Pentacles. Oh my goodness, we have a Pentacle day. There's your cards. Ace of Pentacles. So we're talking seeds, offers. We're talking about earthly things. We're talking about our sense, you know, our 5 sense, earthly matters. So this is about, I guess, you know, with Tiferet, I always see this as an abundant beauty, not just, you know, abundance of money, but abundance in every sense of the word here. So this is a seed that's been offering that you may have taken or that is coming towards you. He's about learning. So yeah, so I'm thinking, given the message, and we were talking about kind of our judgments on people in difficult circumstances, that's about learning the abundance, seeing through, seeing the beauty. We might see someone who's crippled up with pain like that guy, but listen to him, listen to that person before you pass judgment through your lens that they're in need and lack. They might be more spiritually abundant or more abundant than you can even perceive. So yeah, so learn that. But also, if you're in difficulties, if you're in a place of suffering, you know, there's abundance being offered. It's like, learn the beauty of your situation. You know, learn that there's going to be an abundance out of that. Divine will meet you with abundance in whatever situation you're in, you know. So there you are. That was our Tiferet of Gevurah. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love to you all. Bye bye.